First of all, not everything is worse than expected, so that's the good news. The global temperature is actually rising just as expected. If you look at the trend of the past 20 years or so, of course there is natural variability around that trend. There are some warmer years like 2001 to 2005 were above the long-term trend, then 2008 is a little below the long-term trend. But global temperature is basically rising as expected, and that's very reassuring to me as a climate modeler, because we think global temperature is easy, we understand it well, it's a simple energy balance, so we shouldn't be too far off. But there are other components of the climate system that we don't understand that well. For example, the sea ice behavior, the continental ice sheet behavior, the sea level. And unfortunately, in these components where we don't understand them so well that we can confidently compute them, things seem to go faster and worse than we have expected so far. For example, the shrinking Arctic sea ice, it's actually declining much faster than in any of the climate models. And we've also seen that the sea level over the past 20 years or so is rising about 50% faster than the climate models have projected. Another reason for concern is if you look at the history of this planet, at climate changes, natural climate changes in Earth history, we find that past warm climates are significantly underestimated by models. For example, the Pliocene, it was the last time in the Earth's history where it was significantly warmer, about 3 million years ago, due to higher greenhouse gas levels. We can't quite reproduce how warm it was back then, especially in the higher latitudes. And we also find that climate changes in Earth history often have been very abrupt. That's another thing that we can't quite reproduce in the models. And at this conference, I've seen some interesting evidence as to why some aspects of the climate in the climate models may be systematically too stable, so that in the real world things might actually be more unstable than in our models. So I think I'll leave it here for the moment. I want to emphasize that when as scientists we talk about those 2 degrees, that really is a kind of upper limit that we really should not cross. I personally, as a climate scientist, I could not honestly go and tell the public that 2 degrees warming is safe. We're already seeing a lot of impacts of the 0.7 degrees warming that we've had so far. So I consider 2 degrees not safe. And John Schellenhuber this morning asked about the question, is Russian roulette dangerous? And in Russian roulette, you have a 1 in 6 chance of something terrible happening. I think that when we go to 2 degrees, we probably have more than a 1 in 6 chance of really bad impacts occurring.